The Finals is a video game that you literally could not make at any other time period in all of gaming history, which is kind of fun to say because that's not true for the case of most things. If you think about video games, there is a first that kind of breaks the genre open. There's something that comes along and does something with the new tech that couldn't have been done previously. And then there's a bunch of iterations after the fact that kind of try to steal that game's mojo, copy the formula a little bit, do their own thing, try to get in on the brand new cash cow that is the innovation of whatever that game was. We saw that happen with Battle Royale games pretty heavily for a little while there. Modern Warfare 2019 was not the biggest Battle Royale game that ever happened, but we can go back to before PUBG when the big BR explosion started to kick off, and you can find a couple of other titles kind of buried underneath, and then Fortnite exploded, and then eventually we got Apex, and then Modern Warfare, and then you keep naming all of the other ones that came along that had their big peaks and rise and falls. There's Blackout as well, but the Finals is something incredibly unique. There are a series of game mechanics that are all at play, kind of bound together by this one central mechanic that you could never do in its level of fidelity and responsiveness and just overall interactivity until now. Like the destruction is amazing. I don't know if you've ever tried to take a look at this. This game got really popular when it blew up, and now it's kind of died down to fairly niche levels with a pretty dedicated community of players that come in who are constantly saying that this game is incredibly underrated, deserves more players at every step, but it just doesn't get those things. And the launch of Season 10 has dropped. It's awesome to see that we've been able to keep this train going for a double-digit level. The support is here. The gameplay variety is here. The customization is here, but there's just not that many people playing this thing. I think the answer, like many people have pointed to, is that the Finals is incredibly hard to play. I love this game, but playing other shooters and coming back to the Finals is a kick in the ass. That game is so hard. It demands so much of you at any given moment. Unlike any other game I've ever played. The ability to break the environment as heavily as you can opens up opportunities for like counterplay, straight up crazy on the fly planning. Like you can get almost any situation going in a matter of seconds. It goes from 0 to 60 in half a moment because somebody fired an RPG at the right spot and it just happened to reveal cover where two teams were standing but didn't know that each other was there. All hell breaks loose at that point. It's just wild. It's a game that I've never seen anybody do before. It's a game that was never possible before, and now it is. The reason that nobody could have ever made the Finals to the level of fidelity that they could have is, A, we have a bunch of ex-DICE developers using all of their graphical know-how from the past Battlefield games, leaving that studio, bringing that stuff over here, using all of their graphical know-how from the past Battlefield games, leaving that studio, bringing that stuff over here, but also bringing destruction level tech. The destruction technology at play is all server side. There is a little bit of clientele base going on your computer and processing to kind of give you what's going on. But the way that destruction can collapse in on itself, roll around, you can watch entire sections of buildings fall off of each other, stumble into giant physics boxes, and then smack into other things and cause their own level of destruction. That's all possible because all of that technology is being done on a dedicated server, not on your device. It's not so hard to run that kind of level of tech on a single device, but what's tricky about that is giving everybody the exact same competitive advantage of seeing the same level of destruction that you're seeing. Syncing all that up all at once is not easy, and the Finals, being a competitive shooter, it's literally the theme of the game is to be a competitive arena. It takes place in a game show. That's hard, man. That technology is not easy to make. Embark really outdid themselves when they learned to do this kind of thing. This is years of institutional knowledge of how to make good destruction technology piling into all one big thing. So Season 10 dropped, and I've been really having a good time with it. It's a big medieval fantasy theme right now. It takes place in a little European village, so it's like wooden buildings, hay roofs, giant windmill type locations, things that you would see in like The Witcher 3 or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It's just the perfect bed for blowing the shit out of everything around you. My only weird complaint with the map so far is in terms of theming, there's this giant super badass fantasy castle background, but you can't ever fight in that place. And it kind of sucks that they didn't make it the focus of some of the combat goes, but I get why they didn't do it at the same time, because that would have been so hard to make. The layout of the map is fairly special. So it's all themed around their Point Break game mode, which is essentially just rush. You've got a couple of different locations you need to go over to and you need to plant. You have to protect your plant for a couple of seconds, and then eventually the whole thing blows up and then you move on to the next one. The map redoes the boundaries. Everybody has to move into the next sector, and then you continue the fight from there. And it plays really well. The map has definitely been designed with this idea in mind. They've brought Point Break into other maps in the game so far. Those are designed like arenas. They're giant circular sections, often big squares. Everything is kind of a non-linear set, so you can kind of move around the map however you please. But Point Break kind of gameplay modes, those sector-based ones where you need to take a location and then push on to the next one and take a location and push on to the next one. There's a linear progression that those maps require. And when you zoom out at the total like surface area of what those maps actually looks like, they're much more corridory than you would think they need to be. And that's exactly how this map plays. So by far, take the final sandbox, add all of this nonsense in, put in this rush-like gameplay mode for its 8v8, and it is fantastic, man. It is such a good time. I will not lie to you when I say that this game is incredibly hard. Everything is dialed up to 11. There's a million sandbox elements you have to pay attention to, and the latest ones are a lot of fun, but wow, are they going to add a lot of gameplay variety. So there's this new shockwave ability where you can kind of charge it up and throw it off at somebody, causing like a little physics explosion, and anything that's next to it gets kind of shoved off into different corners. I tried to take advantage of this a little bit in a few matches. I clearly don't know what I'm doing. I am not as inventive with the physics sandbox as a lot of the pros are. I know somebody is going to find a way to use this thing into the most extreme way possible. I am not that person, so I didn't really see the value in it. But somebody out there is going to use this to make ridiculous plays. The one that I did really enjoy was the new hover pad ability that goes on the medium class. So the medium already has a jump pad that you can kind of slap down, but now there's these new floating platforms that you can kind of team up with and throw down a jump pad, get some height, drop down a hover pad as you're falling, and you're just a stationary object in the sky to kind of get some interesting play. It's dope. I really like that one. It's very simple to use, very simple in its idea, but the gameplay options that one's going to allow, they're going to vary. There's going to be some pretty interesting techniques and some very fun little gameplay scenarios that are going to come out of it. Right off the bat, I was teaming up with my buddy who was also playing a medium, and we were just stacking hover pads on top of each other, just trying to get to see how high we could actually get with these things. You do put a huge target on your back. Obviously, people are going to look up in the sky and notice that, oh, there's a couple of people just floating up there. That's an easy target. But you kind of get the same advantage. If I'm looking down at the battlefield now and I can actually see where everybody is and kind of start doing your best to pick off people at a distance. Now, the one thing that I really don't know how to wrap my head around is the new crossbow. The crossbow is really strong. I was melting people with that thing. I really thought that it had the simplest level of execution going on so far. The damage drop-off wasn't that difficult to get a hold of, and we were just cleaning the field with this thing for a little while. It was awesome. It's a good little gun, but I think that thing definitely needs a nerf, considering I don't think it has any major recoil patterns with it currently, and it's just semi-automatic, but if you just keep clicking, you can kind of fire that thing like crazy. It's a good weapon, but I do think that thing might need to drop down in the damage values. Something about it just feels a little bit too strong, seems a little too good to be true, so I think we got to make an adjustment there. For the most part, that's the final Season 10. I think this game is fantastic. I think from the cosmetic values that it does, from the overall just gameplay variety, it's amazing. I think the map variety is getting better and better with every season that they drop something. The mechanics that are at play are unbelievable. It's just great, but it's hard. The finals is very hard. It demands a lot from you. The recoil patterns that you have to learn, there's spray patterns that need to be done when ADSing, a million different combinations of things that could be flying your way at any moment, and you might not ever even notice that they're coming because they're just going to bust through the entire building, leaving you in rubble, blown into a million coins with no idea to wonder how the hell was I ever supposed to see that coming. The real answer there is always you weren't, you were never going to, and that's just the chaos of the finals. It's great. So what do you think of the finals? Have you been playing Season 10? Do you think the crossbow is a little overpowered? Have you jumped into this game? Do you think it's too hard to even try? I have no idea, to be honest, if the crossbow is overpowered, but I was cleaning people up with that thing more so than any other gun that I was using that day, so something feels a little off about it to me. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to hear more of my thoughts and my opinions on gaming, and leave a like if you thought this was good. I'll see you guys next time. See ya.